So speaking of broken things and speaking of things that can break, let's get into the broken mirror. And yeah, I
Nice
mean,
segue, yes.
I know a broken mirror means 7 years of bad luck, but when you say it can mean more than 7 years of bad luck, what are you really talking about here?
What I'm talking about is our self-image. Looking in the mirror, because the joke about set broken mirrors is 7 years bad luck. Well, the truth is, if we do not look at ourselves and change our own self-perception, it will be the bad luck through our whole lives, way more than 7 years. So literally, because we will take a rule book, again, like the rules we grew up with, and reflect upon ourselves. If we look in the mirror and we don't understand, appreciate, love who we are, we're going to either one, continue to look outside ourselves for finding that fulfillment, which will never fill us up like Chinese food. We'll be hungry again in 2 hours. It's the self-love that's going to carry us through, because part of the work I do with my clients is with recognition of my own journey is finding fulfillment in who you are, so you're 100%. Because in the old model, back in the 50s, 60s, relationships were 50-50, very codependent. And in my work, I help my clients become interdependent. So that basically what we're doing is learning how to be 100% of who we are, fully fulfilled. So when we find a partnership, we find a partner who's also the same way, because relationships are 50-50, they're 100-100.
Yeah.
Because we're not missing pieces, we're not limping along with gaps, we are fulfilled. So we're a whole mirror, not a cracked mirror. So it's the learning that we are fulfilled in who we are. So that relationship is additive to who we are, not filling a gap we think we have.
Wow, that is so deep. So to put it another, and it's so deep and it's so great, and to kind of put it another way, it's almost like those it's like it's a difference between getting a window repair guy or getting a brand new windshield. And I'm going to give a mirror example in a second, but a lot of people think of relationships as kind of the window repair guy that comes out with the little resin that goes in the crack and seals it up to try and prevent it from breaking anymore. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing that, I mean, a relationship really isn't that. It's almost like getting a new window, or in the case of a mirror, it's like, yeah, you can put glue. I'm going to say it differently. Correct me if I'm wrong. You break a mirror, you can glue the mirror back together, but you're still always going to see those cracked lines. The best thing to do is get a brand new mirror so you can see things differently. And is that kind of what
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about, or am I completely off base here?
The truth is that in my work, because I'm not using literal like the broken mirror type thing, the model is that once you become clear that the mirror isn't broken in the first place, but we've had this perception it was broken,
Ah,
that's the illusion. It's interesting because the whole crack thing, it brings up to a whole. There's a Japanese art of, and I forgot the name because of the K. But basically, what they do is when they have broken pottery, they put gold as in the seams to put it together. And they call it stronger at the broken places. And it's actually an art form in Japan. And this idea is that that's part of what we learn, is that when we learn that we aren't broken, then in fact we've grown strength and we've gained from who we are. It's like scar tissue is stronger than the original skin. So we learn that what we've learned through so when we're growing, we become more healthy, more strong, more powerful as we evolve. We're not less than, we're more than. And that means the mirror becomes clearer. So we see more clearly who we are. And that becomes much more inspiring and also less codependent. This thing about the codependence is something that I grew up with, and it's something my parents' generation was embracing. And I can read data cells to about Archie Bunker and all the family if you want to go back that far. You probably see Nickelodeon, but it was very, very politically. I can say this: it wasn't politically correct back then in terms of looking at the language they used back then. But the truth was, it was a codependent model. It was the guy was out going getting the money, getting home, and the wife was at home being the meek housewife. A lot of us were raised in that culture, so we still see life that way, and it's very codependent because they couldn't live without each other. And I'm so passionate because I've come through both the codependent, independent, now the interdependent generation as we're evolving into a place where we learn to give from overflow and have attractive relationships. So part of that lesson is that who we are is sufficient, who we are is complete, who we are is full when we take time to look at ourselves and acknowledge and remember who we really are. Those things that happen to us were lessons. They didn't destroy us.
wow, and I love, and it was so deep when you had said, you realize that the mirror isn't broken to begin with. It's almost like it reminds me of the Matrix, where they're sitting there, where Neo is sitting there with the kid, and he's trying to bend the spoon, and the
Mm-hmm.
kid's like, there is no spoon. And it's kind of a weird thought to think about, but it's all about changing your mind and changing your
Yeah,
perception, because when you
absolutely.
don't, and if you don't, you're going to continue to have the same results. I mean, it's not. It's funny because a lot of people will tell you, "Hey, change your actions and you get different results." And it's like, well, to a
Mm-hmm.
point. But if you don't change your mind and change your perceptions, you're not, even if you change your actions, you're probably just going to do another bad action, kind of like in
Absolutely.
relationships that you're talking about, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, so it's, it's kind of like until you not fix the broken mirror, but until you realize the mirror isn't broken to begin with, and there's nothing wrong, so to speak, and until you
Hmm.
realize that what what you're presented with in front of you is a false vision. It's almost like a funhouse mirror. I mean, is that kind of a? I'm just trying to get different ways to say it because our audience loves kind of different things out there. So it's
Right.
almost like a funhouse mirror. It's like
Hmm.
you have a choice, but if there's four mirrors lined up, and one makes you look skinny, one makes you look fat, one makes you look this, one makes you look that. You have the choice to go to each one of those mirrors, and you'll see what that mirror reflects. Is it the same thing with the broken mirror that you have a choice to either look at a broken mirror or a non-broken mirror and see what it reflects?
Well, the simplest way to put it is the distortion. And it's that distortion of our reality that we seem to think is the truth, and it's inaccurate. And so half the work is simply to become aware that we're not what we think we are. And we're not what we see in the mirror. That's the shift. So maybe a broken mirror would be better to say distorted mirror might be more accurate because it's not a broken mirror, but it's reflecting back to us what we think is the truth, and it's not the truth.
Ah,
So it's that shift.
yeah, so it really is the funhouse mirror. It's like, if
Hmm.
you're over, I mean, at one point I was 300 pounds, and I used to love to go to the funhouse and and look in the skinny mirror and go, hey, that's what's reality. Um, but until you realize that whatever you're looking at doesn't, I think what you're saying is until you realize whatever you're looking at isn't, or at least doesn't have to be your reality,
Right.
then regardless of any other actions you take, you're going to get the same results, the same bad results over and over again, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, this has been epic. This has been, it's funny because well, I'll just keep saying epic because this has been great. I wish I would, I'm glad I met you now, Barry, because at least going forward, the next relationship I have, I won't be looking through a broken mirror, which
Good.
is good,
Good.
and I'll be able to get rid of, my next goal is to instead of having an iceberg behind me, I'm gonna chop it up into little bits and just have a little bit of floating ice that you can have. Floating ice, it's okay. I'm a big Deadliest Catch fan, so I mean, the floating ice is okay. When the big ice pack hits, it's not good.
Right.
Before we wrap up, and I'm going to wrap up with your call to action in a second. Before we
Hmm.
wrap up this episode of Expert Showcase, if there's one thing that you could leave our audience with, what would you say to them?
Hmm. You are enough, and you can have what you want in a relationship. Have faith in that, and just do what you need to do to get there. It's definitely worth every step.
Epic. That is an epic thought to leave. Today we've been talking with Barry Selby, the Heartbreak Repair Specialist. In our first part, we talked about Barry's hero's journey, and you'll hear how he went through a lot of the same stuff you're probably going through now and why he is the perfect person to be the Heartbreak Repair Specialist. In this segment, we talked about his big focus, which is Foggy Glasses and Iceberg and Broken Mirror, 3 keys to stop playing Russian Roulette with romance. So, oh, wait a minute. The funny part is, and everybody's going, wait a minute, Chris, you're supposed to give us a special offer. Yes, I am. And then, I've been so touched I was so getting engrossed in the moment and touched by everything Barry said. I almost went off the rails there for a second. So here's the gotta love live TV. Here's the special offer. Here's what you want to do. You want to go out to barryselby.com/consult. The website is on the screen. Barry serves his clients to resolve all 3 areas in both the Romance Blueprint online program and in his private coaching practice. The great news is by going to this address you see on the screen right now, he's offering a complimentary romance discovery session as his gift to the viewers, which is epic, epic. Thank you, Barry. I'm probably going to take you up on that because
Hey.
goodness knows after the stuff I've been through, I could probably use it. And my next wife will thank you for it.
You're welcome.
I was going to say maybe I'll find my next wife first, and we'll see if we're a good fit. But anyway, that's a whole other topic for another show. Once again, head out to barryselby.com/consult. Take advantage of this epic free offer. Take advantage of this consultation. I know after you've seen this. If you haven't seen the whole episode, if you're just tuning in now, go back and watch the whole episode, because I know after you see it, you know, and you're going to understand why Barry is the Heartbreak Repair Specialist and why he's the one to help you take your life and your romance to the next level. So, Barry, thank you again for being an epic guest. To all our viewers, thank you for being epic viewers today. And until next time, make it an epic day.
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now, you'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.